We have 3 questions posed to us. How do we find the network address when we have a known IP address from a device within our network? How do we find the broadcast address for that IP? And I would like to know how many possible hosts can we have within that particular network. So far, we have learned about classes, Class A, Class B, and Class C. We're working up to the point that we get to look at masks. But for this session, we have to look at an IP address from a classful perspective. By doing so, from a classful perspective, we know a Class A address, the first 8 bits belong to the network. The remaining bits all belong to the host. On a Class B, the first 16 bits, or first 2 octets, belong to the network, and the rest are host. Class C, the first 24 bits belong to the network. The last 8 bits belong to the host. So, if you're presented with an IP address, let's say someone tells you 124.32.64.5 is one of the devices within the network. They want to know what network does this device belong in, and what is the broadcast address for it. Let's get started by looking at the first octet, because we have to look at it from a classful perspective. We know Class A, the first octet, is anywhere from the range of 1 to 126. The Class B range is 128 to 191. The Class C range is 192 to 223. With that knowledge, we know 124 falls into the Class A range. We also know Class A means the first octet belongs to the network. The remaining all belong to the host. So in this example, 124 is the network portion. And if we wrote it out in binary, it would look like this. So we're going to divide this with a line. This is going to be our network, and all the other bits belong to the host. The network portion of this IP address does not change. Every single device within this network we know starts with the number 124. To find the network address, we simply turn all of the host bits off. We know which portion of the 32 bits belong to the host, so simply turn them all off. So our network address is 124.0.0.0. To find the broadcast address, we simply take all the host bits and turn them on. If you add up all the values that we turned on through all the host bits, our broadcast address is 124.255.255.255. That means any device within the network would be numbered between 124.0.0.0 through 124.255.255.255. And if you look, the address that was given to us was 124.32.64.5, which falls in between the two. To find out the total number of hosts available, we know that each octet has a total number of 256. So if we take the 3 octets of host, which is 256 times 256 times 256, that gives us the total number of hosts numbers. That would be 16,777,216. But you have to remember, we've already used 2 of those numbers. The first one we used is the network address, 124.0.0.0. So we can't count that. We've got to take that out of our total here. Also, our broadcast address, 124.255.255.255, we can't apply that to a device, so we have to subtract that out of our total number of addresses available. So we're going to subtract 2. So the total number of hosts that we can have in this network is 16,777,214 devices. And that's looking from a Class A. If we want to do a Class B, it's the exact same. You take the host bits, change them to zeros to get the network. You take the host bits, change them to 1 to get the broadcast address, and then you simply multiply 256 times 256, subtract 2, and that answer will be the number of available hosts. A Class C, same thing. Let's go ahead and do a quick example of a Class C. An address, we could say 192.45.63.10. For a Class C address, the first 3 octets belong to the network. So we can draw our line right here. These all belong to the network. So those stay constant. So we know our network address is going to be 192.45.63. If we change all of the host bits to 0, .0 is our network address. If we change all of the host bits on, which would be a 1, then our broadcast address would be 192.45.63.255. The total number of devices on a Class C would be 256 minus our network address, which is the 0, and minus our broadcast address, 255. So we subtract 2 out, so there's 254 available hosts that we can apply in this network. So how do you find the network address? First, you determine which portion of the address belongs to the network. That stays constant. Take all of the remaining bits that belong to the host and turn them off. That will always give you your network address. To get your broadcast address, you determine once again your network portion of the address. That stays constant. And then you take the host bits and you turn them all on. That will give you your broadcast address. All the addresses that fall in between are available to apply to any device within your network.